Hey, everybody, welcome to the Tech-Mex Podcast. We're your hosts, Eric and Mando, and this is episode Cuarenta y Cuatro, bringing you the top stories in Bitcoin, tech, and wealth, so you too can understand that 1 times 1 equals 2. Terryology. Dale.
Dale. So, man, this guy is breaking the internet. Terrence Howard, right? You might remember him from the show Empire.
Empire, that's one of my faves right there.
Really? Interesting. I remember watching
it. Drip, drop.
We already told you, man, that you cannot rap.
I know, right? Oh, no. The other one also, he's in that movie. He's like, whoop that trick. Whoop that trick.
I don't remember. What movie was that?
It's like Hustle and Flow. That's what it's called. Hustle and Flow. Man, yes. That thing's a classic too. Cult following.
Well, this guy is building another cult, and not necessarily because of his movies. Right now, he's actually been there on the internet because he's doing some bizarre claims. One of those is that one that you just said, right? So you remember, like in kindergarten or even before, they were telling you your multiplication tables.
Right?
This guy is saying
1 times 1 equals 1, right?
That's right. And this guy is claiming that is 1 times 1 equal 2. And I think that is he's going and again, sometimes it's hard to dissect if the guy is just a buffoon, right? A fool. Or it's actually like, man, maybe he's into something, right? And it's so out there that it almost reminds me of the flat earthers. Right?
You know?
So, which is tough. It is very tough too, because again, it's but I always take things with a grain of salt and try to have the flexibility to listen, right? Because I also don't want to be the other ones shouting out ideas, because I want to hear what different things. I'm an old man, so like I've seen a lot of things, right? So it's like, and this guy, let me tell you, he say a couple nice things. So there is a pod with Joe Rogan. I do like to watch some of those, and probably sometimes you get the clips. Did you follow? Did you watch the?
So yeah, I saw that it came through my feed. Of course, I'm a fan of Terrence Howard, so I'm like, I mean, just because of the shows and movies, I'm like, sure. What is this? What is he talking about on Joe Rogan? I saw that it was like a 3+ hour interview, so I was like, I can't watch that. But I did see some clips. What he said was kind of interesting, and the way he says it, it just seems like very like thoughtful. Like he's thought it through, and like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. And he just starts going into it, and how he refers to different authors and different schemes and schematics, and how he has these all of these records that are showing, hey, this is like a plausible thing. You know, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and I think that is because this guy is combining different things. He's a chemist. Right. And then you might say, why in the heck the guy is like doing this when he was famous and good actor and basically known for that? In fact, he's basically a smart person, right? Very likely almost photographic memory, right? Because the guy is like 55 or something, and he's able just to remember very vivid some things. And actually, that's one of the things why it was very controversial. The guy opened the pod with Joe Rogan saying that he remembers being on the womb with his mom. And seeing his hand. Oh, yeah. like seeing his hand is like, and trying to just remember, because he believes in different lives. And he was trying to remember that he was kind of falling. And Joe Rogan made some couple jokes there. but I think that it started just with that in the first few minutes of the podcast, right? So, and knowing like Joe Rogan, he was like, you know, like so interested in some of the things that he was saying. And again, look, these are theories, right? If you go back to your elementary school classes, basically a theory explains you why something happens versus maybe a law that explains you how something happens. So I think that all of these are some theories. The interesting thing, though, is that he has some math to be able to back it up, and even some prototypes on some of his ideas. So let's remove aside the one times one, because that one is almost like a philosophical thing. I think that, in my opinion, his point of view is more how math can deceive you, and how basically how we can use it as a perception, but also trying as humans trying to represent the universe or understand the fabric of reality. And I
Hmm.
think that he's right. Even statistics, like, it's an approximation. It's not 100% fact, but actually has getting us to even AI, right? To be able to build AI almost in a brute force, uh, not truly understanding even our brains, but actually being a very useful tool. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that point, of course, is true. I mean, us as humans, we like to classify things and describe things, and we do experiments to try and make rules out of chaos. So I think that's very true. A lot of the things that we're talking about, math, physics, they're like human constructs. They're human constructs. They're approximations to what we're seeing and observing in the real world. So I think all of that kind of fits with what he's trying to say, and as a basis of his theories, and how he can, again, kind of a little bit out there, one of his gravity theories, his assertion is that he can kill gravity and rebuild Saturn without gravity using a
Yes.
method that involves
And
lens.
that one's like, when I was thinking, yeah, whatever, right? I have seen this, I have here, and maybe things, but he was able to build a model how magnetism and how energy they are interacting with different pressure. And the funny part is that he was able to build Saturn in a simulation, no animation, and basically the simulation, it was just those rules. And have you seen Saturn has an hexagon on the top, and when they were putting in the model those few variables, and they started rotating it, they were able to see all of these vortexes to be able to have the shape of Saturn, which it literally explained how Saturn has even the ring with the gases and with the hexagon on the top. That was bananas, though. That one is like, holy shit, that actually this guy was able to crack into something. So
Mm.
uh, it's one of those things that is like, man, don't discard what this guy is saying 100%. There are some nice things there. The other, I really think that one of the things that he's going to be remembered for, I don't think that it's going to be the Empire show.
I don't know. That Empire show is pretty good.
It's not an Oscar or a Grammy type of a thing in my mind. I think that he's gonna be remembered for finding some gaps, and the reason why I'm saying that is, have you seen the famous flower of life? There's a print that is like a circle that has a bunch of circles.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Hmm.
that pattern is like ancient, right? It's basically, you find it on from the Egyptians. You can find it on even in China. Outside of China, when I was over there in the temple, the Forbidden Temple, and there's a couple places, Forbidden City. The lion, it has a ball, and that ball, it has the pattern of the flower of life, which you can find it in many many different places in the world.
Hmm.
um, so everybody sees the pattern, and everybody tells you and explains you. There's a lot of YouTube videos on that. But I think that the genius part, again, not sure if it was him or maybe he read it, he found it. Who knows, right? We don't know about that. But he's going very hard, and he's actually socializing this idea. And the idea that he's saying is basically that if you put together these different circles, there is a space, a negative sphere space between these circles, and it creates a new shape. Because most of the platonic solids or the geometry that we all know, triangles, squares, right, like hexagons, all of that, and the 3D versions of those, they came from that flower of life. That's the reason why it's a foundational thing on humanity. But I have not seen around different a person that actually find that gap, and it's
Hmm.
like, hey, there is a use for that space. So, and there is he called it the lynch pinch. Have you seen that also?
The linchpin. So I did see one of those clips, and it's for if you want to visualize it, if you haven't seen this, I do encourage y'all just to go watch it. So because it's some of it is pretty interesting. It's if you put three circles together. As you know, if you put three circles, just if you draw them together, you'll see that there's like this negative space in between the points where the circle touches. So obviously that itself is it's not a new shape, right? Because you see it in tile work and stuff like that. Moroccan styles use that. But what he says is once you put this into 3D or you use spheres instead of like just circles, you get like this top, like a top looking shape that has like these inverted circles basically, but it looks like a little Chinese star or something like that. But
it's more like a pyramid. If you have that, it's almost like a pyramid, which explains a lot of it. Why? And I think that that's one of the things that he is right, in my opinion. The math that we have is meant to be representing in a very linear way. Like Newton, he was representing on velocity in linearly. And the part is that sometimes he is like giving hard time to the previous scientist, and I think that maybe he might be doing intentionally. Who knows? Maybe he actually knows marketing way better than all of us. so he might get the attention that way, right? But I think that the point that he's saying that our math has to evolve to be more in like to understand waves and to be able to do it in a 3D. Yes, I agree, because a lot of the math that we have is just very 2D. So when our world is 3D. So the other thing that because I was trying to think, how is this guy like sounds so sharp, right? Like I mean, I'm a scientist, right? I like science. It's like, how is this guy doing it? And through the pod, actually, I was able to see some of the things. Obviously, he's not building these theories out of nothing. The sources, he wasn't able to name some of the sources. One of them is Nikola Tesla. Right now we all know Nikola Tesla, right? But there is another one that I have not here, which is Walter Russell, and that's a chemist. And again, it's one of those forgotten scientists that nobody kind of almost knows. Is you have to be just like in a niche, but he's actually quoting him, and the reason why he's quoting him a lot is because this guy has a way to see the periodic table in almost in a line, and you can even do almost like a spiral. And I have never seen that before. It is online. You can just Google it. And basically, I'm actually even surprised why scientists don't use that to explain the periodic table, because usually when we are doing science in middle school or whatever, they show us the regular periodic table with all of the different elements. But the way that this guy did it in the past, it makes a lot of sense, because it's almost like everything is in terms of vibration and energy, and it explains you on the different octets how it's divided on each element. So in that way, Terrence was explaining that now you can balance them out, and then you can put them against different of the elements. Then he was able to also have a lot of patterns based on that. And again, these ideas are, he's able to put together these ideas from these minds on humanity.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I do like the little squiggle line that shows you the the periodic table. But the periodic table represents a very similar thing as well. So this is just, I think, a different way of looking at it. I'm not sure what the octaves are. What he's really referring to, is that just the vibration frequencies?
It's the vibration, which basically, because there are, and again, this is going into some of the other areas where science is still too early, our modern science, but there are other kind of practices. Woo-woo, let's call it woo-woo, which is like your Reiki, your energy, right? That it's very hard to explain and very hard to.
Some metaphysics.
Some metaphysics, and I think that that's where he's getting into that, and that's the reason why sometimes I think that it might kind of shut down some of these ideas that, but I really think that some of this, mathematically he has been able to prove it. right? Let's move aside the 1 times 1. But the other ones, actually, he has been able to prove it, because now you have seen drones in that shape. There's a bunch of drones now because they hear about this idea and they start just replicating the concept. Also, it is less harder for the drone to be able to lift things. So that's the reason why, and it can move in a very different ways. Yes, a drone can move, but it's kind of unstable if it's just having even if it has four, it's kind of unstable. And this one, it allows us to even carry a lot of weight. So yeah, there's a lot of I guess things that they're gonna come up with without this. And he claimed that he had filed about 90 patents. So we'll see which ones they get granted and which ones they don't.
Oh,
but
they're not granted yet. They're just
some might not be
submissions.
granted. It's too early to say. I don't think that. So sometimes it takes years to grant. I mean, you and me, we have a bunch of patents.
Yeah.
So some of those took 5 years for our patents.
Yeah,
so.
they take a while. Lots of lawyer money needed. So I mean, he's paying for all this stuff, and that the drone thing. He had a contest for people to make these. So that's why people created this, is because he put a contest out there to create these. So, but it's pretty interesting. I mean, yeah, I think you put more fans on a drone, the stronger it's going to be. So I think there's that. But I did see some of the videos of the thing being able to fly around and things like that. So it's pretty interesting. But I do like that shape thing, the linchpin, and how you can stack them together. And you stack them together, they themselves create another shape, and it becomes stronger and things like that. So it's pretty interesting. So I haven't seen the whole interview. So now that you seem to be vouching for it, I'll go take a look at it and see what I think. But some of the clips that I saw were like, yes, okay, there's something to it. Maybe
I think that's what it is. That maybe is novel. Some of these ideas, because I think that and yes, the guy is like eccentric, right? He has certain trick. and then you can pick in some other things, like the guy was wearing a hoodie and his headphones were on top of the hoodie. So
like this.
No. Your hoodie was actually your headphones were on top of the hoodie. So it's like, man, I'm not sure. Maybe the guy. I'm just thinking to myself, maybe the guy didn't want to put in the headphone on his ears, because a lot of people have used them. So it's like kind of makes sense, It's like it's a weird thing.
Germaphobe.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
It might be, right. So, and again, I just was speaking on what I'm seeing it. So, or maybe it's just he wanted to look cool. Who knows, right?
Genius marketing.
I mean, dude, we need it for our pod for sure. Yeah. So, the other thing that is interesting is why other physicists don't want to talk to him. If he's out there, if they can think that they can shut him down easily, if they think that his ideas are like stupid or bananas, why they don't want to do it like in a debate?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. They don't want to be made a fool, probably. I mean, are you gonna go to a debate about Terryology? Like, it doesn't. It's like, what is this guy talking about? He named a whole new science after his name, called Terryology. Neil deGrasse is not going to be in favor of doing that. I could see that. Maybe he did write a book or it's an ebook, I think he said. So maybe if he sends him a copy of his ebook.
And that's what he was actually saying on the pod, that he actually wanted to engage, and he engaged forgot his name, right?
Neil deGrasse. Yeah.
Yes. And basically the guy said no. He kind of went radio silence. So I feel it interesting because he's a scientist, and science should debate among all, right? Like, imagine if and I think that happens in humanity, though. Like, some of these people have been crucified, and they have been as well put in the stake, right? Like, or killed with venom, right? Like a poison.
as entrepreneurs, we know that, right? We know
Yes.
how kind of people react to new ideas and
And,
things.
and I
So
think that that's the reason why maybe I have a lot of empathy. I'm with you, Terran, even that you're a little bit cuckoo. But I think that I respect, for being out there,
yeah,
putting your ideas, and being ridiculized in some instances, right? Uh, I think that there is something there, and there are things that they are proving. Maybe he was not able to do it himself. Now he's even using uh, like almost open source or these contests to be able to get other ideas, but the
hmm
principles are there, right? Like sometimes, like even science fiction gives us some ideas, some principles, like Star Trek, Star Wars, right? All of these different things, and now we get these ideas as engineers. And then we can like, hey man, this is neat. Maybe it's a
yeah,
good idea. And then
you can do
I think that
something
that's
with
what is
that,
going to
right?
happen. We're going to use Terry, Terry science, Terryology.
Terryology, baby.
Yes, and we'll start building because the guy was saying that like he was pissed at society, and he
uh,
said, with all of this technology, I was even thinking just to destroy humanity. And Joe Rogan started laughing like, is he for real?
don't start here.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that Joe Rogan was like making like a like a, but and then Terrence was saying, no, I need to do it for good. I need to help humanity. So, but yes, very very interesting part. I'm just trying to summarize everything that happened in 3 hours.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's is pretty interesting. So I'll go back and check it out. I'll give Joe Rogan a few more views, but you know what? You know, someone that might be able to figure it out. AI. So moving on to our next topic for today, just kind of recapping a little bit about what's going on with AI. But I'm thinking maybe we should ask ChatGPT 4.0 what it thinks about Terryology. That might be a good one.
They might have to update it, right? Because sometimes the algos are like a couple years behind on information, and Terryology was like very very
It's
new.
late breaking news right now. Put it on your
So,
calendars. 2024. New physics discovered.
so we have a multiple in AI. We have multiple algorithms. You have obviously GPT, and now you're hearing this company Anthropic.
Yes.
And also I have been playing with Mistral. So something interesting about all of them is that, like I said, is competition is always kind of good, right? So in that
Mm-hmm.
way, it gets better and better, and consumers we get the best out of it. Something interesting about Mistral is that it was the first time that I have seen a company just putting together a 6 pager and raising like 100 millions. Just having 6 pager document. So I I actually tweeted on my X account maybe a few months ago, and I actually was able to get my hands on that. They call it manifesto.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the whole proposal was a US is pioneering this and is in the lead. Uh, we European Union, we need something else. We cannot depend on US, and that's the reason why Mistral kind of got created and got funded. That was their pitch, and
Mm-hmm.
6 pages for that. And when I read that several months ago, I was thinking, man, this is gonna be a flop because uh, I saw the paper. It's like, man, it's like there's nothing here, right? And I was amazed. I was wrong there, man. Uh, they were able to execute. They were able to create it, and I feel that is one of the open source type of algorithms that I kind of like at the moment, Mistral. So
Yeah, for
um,
sure. I mean, that's the good thing about so far with a lot of this AI stuff. That's the products that are out there is that it's all based off of open source items. So you can go out there. I can go out and build my own on my PC if I have a strong enough PC and start running things. Of course, you can customize it, and people like Mistral have done that. But I think it's smart for there to be multiple versions because right now we see Anthropic, like we kind of alluded to earlier. Anthropic is backed by your buddy Bezos, right? ChatGPT is backed by Microsoft, and these companies are known for being a little shady with their data and the privacy stuff. And of course, EU is known for being very strong on privacy and the rights of people's data. So they have to have their own version that's going to be kind of protected. But what I think, what we heard this week having to do with super alignment. So the and they pronounce his name different ways, but I think they say like Ian or Jan, Jan Leike. He was one of the folks from ChatGPT that left among all of this stuff that's going on with Altman, and he was part of the super alignment team, and he joined Anthropic. And apparently, this guy Jan was one of the big tech guys that was a really good leader in ChatGPT, and him leaving to go join Anthropic is a pretty big deal. And I wasn't familiar exactly what super alignment the team was or what they did, but you might guess it's a team that is working on making sure that AI is going to be aligned with humans needs or wants so that we don't get wiped out, right? So it's basically the safety team or the ethics team of AI. So a lot of people are kind of scared about this because ChatGPT seems to be in the lead in general. And if they're losing like their top ethics guy or their top safety guy, who knows? We might have baby Terminator on our head sooner than later.
I think that overall, the government has to catch up. We have seen it on crypto. It took them almost 10 years to to catch up. So I hope that they don't take that long in AI because it's moving way, way faster than anything else. So yes, I do agree. I think that some rules, some guidelines might be needed on that industry.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see really what that means for ChatGPT. I mean, GPT 4.0 did just come out, and I know that we're already talking about GPT 5 coming soon, perhaps later this year, which a lot of people are saying is going to be AGI, which is, more of a general use intelligence, and maybe it can start teaching itself and things like that, or take learnings from one topic and use it in another area, so you don't have to specifically train for it. So that's what a lot of people are thinking. And once it gets to that point, safety really needs to be kind of one of the main things. In the news also kind of this week was things about that are leaked about Sam Altman's behavior and why he got fired. So Helen Toner was one of the ladies that was involved. I was part of the board that says, "Hey, Altman's not really playing fair here. He is lying to the board. He's keeping stuff from the board. He released ChatGPT without letting the board know that it was going to happen. So there was like a lot of stuff going on there, and she said that was one of the things that precipitated the whole firing of Sam Altman. Unfortunately, or fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, Sam Altman did come back to ChatGPT, which a lot of people are pretty happy about it. And they actually said 95% of the workforce was supportive of Sam Altman coming back, and even said they would leave if they didn't bring him back. So that's kind of why they did that big 180 and brought him back. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that came out about this. And a lot of people are thinking, if Sam Altman wasn't good for the company, why would they bring him back?
No, it's right now Sam Altman though it's getting mass attention, but Sam Altman has been there, man. He do you know who is Paul Graham?
Paul Graham?
Mm-hmm. The guy this guy founded Y Combinator, which is basically and he's kind of like one of the main guys on Silicon Valley. And Sam Altman was one of his proteges. Sam Altman was running Y Combinator for several years. He was kind of like the person, right? The head over there. So the guy for Y Combinator, they every 4 months they do a batch, and they're trying to find ideas that they're gonna revolutionize the world, and then they're trying to find the unicorns, right? So Sam Altman, he just had the opportunity to see a lot of ideas, right? Like they have to vet thousands and thousands of applications, and they screen them to talk to entrepreneurs, see all of the problems, all of that, right? So Sam Altman has a lot of knowledge on startups and companies, even through being a VC, because he was literally a venture capitalist. I think that he got bored. because even in couple posts, he was saying, hey, it's actually more fun to. He was saying that it was super easy to make money as a VC. That VCs should be ashamed.
That's funny. Well,
So
Helen Toner was saying this is one of the weird things. Helen Toner said that Altman got fired from Y Combinator, which is like, you're like, what? Like, and she says it's kind of for the similar behaviors that he had at OpenAI, which is, I guess he's a very, very strong product guy. Like, he just cares about the product
yes.
more, and, obviously ChatGPT is an awesome product. It got lots of users a lot more quickly than any other product before it. So, I mean, he kind of knows what he's doing in that respect, but I guess they're saying he's going too fast, and he's lying about it.
Yeah, it reminds me sometimes, because I have not worked closely to him, right? I work closely with Elon. It reminds me that type of personality that very product oriented, just do the best, right? So in a very fast iteration and almost ruthless. It's like, hey, just build something that people want in a ruthless way, right? It's like just like, don't eat, just build.
No sleep, no food.
Yes. So overall, not everybody's built in that way. Not everybody can be in that pace. But for me, it was fun. Those seasons were fun. So and I was able to get a glimpse on kind of these tycoons, right, on our I guess our generation. So it is a hard one, because obviously there are kind of rules, some guidance from the board, but also these minds, they're hard to contain, right? So and I think that that's what happens. I don't think that you can put a man on the moon just by following the rules, right? So you're gonna have to break some rules in the way.
Yeah, agreed. And to a certain extent, also game theory kind of takes a part in this, because you don't want to be the second one to get to there. You want to be the first. So especially if the lead is percepted is in the US, you want to keep that lead. Something like AI, the person that gets there first is going to have the most control for sure, especially if you get to AGI, because then it can really take over at that point.
It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting that these guys that we're talking about, Sam Altman and as well Elon, they also dabble into crypto. They also like Sam Altman kind of backed the WorldCoin, right? And then as well Elon, he is pro Bitcoin and pro Dogecoin, I guess.
Dogecoin.
Do you remember when he changed the? I was thinking when I was in Twitter, oh shit, we got hacked, because it had the Dogecoin logo instead of the Twitter logo, right? And it's like somebody like, no, actually Elon wanted to just put it there. It's like, oh man, phew.
Like, shit, I'm getting fired.
Yeah, I'm getting fired. Like fucking Elon, like, hey, you fired, man.
I know, right? Like, don't look him in the eyes.
Never, look him in the eye. Dude, I was remembering when I told my wife that I basically run out of. He was talking and I stopped. Basically, I stopped him, right? And he's like, "Did you use like?"
Did you just interrupt Elon?
Yeah, basically, it's like they just interrupted. Yeah, and I say, yeah, and I think that now that I'm counting, it was a couple times. Like, oh, well, it is what it is. And I think that sometimes when ideas have weight, well, just pursue your ideas, right? Mm-hmm. So, but let's move into that topic, right? Bitcoin. Dude, bunch of events happen. So you saw the video?
I love Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the best.
No. You're missing the mouth. You need to.
Don't let the government take Bitcoin away from you.
Better.
Elizabeth Warren sucks.
Yes, there was a huge. This is because we have been doing Bitcoin for a while already. Man, it feels good to be kind of on the winning side, right? Because we got a lot of shit before.
Yeah, it's been a long time, right? 12 years, and we're like people telling us, "You're gonna lose your money. You're gonna lose your money. What are you doing?"
Like who's laughing now, right?
Well, actually, it's been 13 years out.
And yes, I think that some of these politicians, they were against it, right?
Yeah.
And now you can see like Trump being is basically loves Bitcoin now, right? So go for it.
Oh well, so for those of you that didn't see, he was at a libertarian a conference, or he was doing a talk there, right? And of course, part of his speech was that, hey, he's going to do everything he can for Bitcoin and crypto as well. I think he has some Ethereum in his holdings, but he said, he's going to make sure that the government doesn't take your Bitcoin. He's going to make sure that you get to use cold storage like a Tracer or a Ledger or whatever the case, a cold card, whatever you want to use, and that the government's not going to take it from you. He says he's going to try and free Ross Ulbricht from jail. Ross Ulbricht famously started Silk Road and got put in jail for like a lifetime for something like that. That's like, kind of weird because you don't put the CEO of eBay on there for like well, maybe you would, I don't know, for allowing drugs to be sold on there. But either way, like, he made all these promises, and even he said, if I'm king, right? He said he would not allow to for CBDCs or for there to be a governmental digital coin either, right? He said that would not happen. So he said all these things, and he said all the right things, and he said, Elizabeth Warren, get out of here. We're not going to let her take your coins either. So
Basically,
he did all the things.
Elizabeth Warren GTFO.
Yeah, exactly. And so, all the Bitcoiners kind of rejoiced because in one way, I'll say this: a lot of Bitcoiners are going to be single issue voters. They're like, okay, like a lot of them at this point have a lot invested, and if there's something that's going to become a menace towards Bitcoin, they want it to get out of here. So in a way, because Trump did come out and kind of say this, the Democrats likely will have to have a similar response. I think we're waiting to see if they do or not, but I don't think they're going to let that narrative continue because Trump mentioned there's at least 50 million Bitcoiners in the U.S. And so that's a very, very big voting block that they don't want to ignore.
Shrimps, fishes, sharks.
Those kinds of them, right?
Yes, for those that the audience that don't know, they start naming them based on on kind of, I guess, fish, depending how much Bitcoin do you have. So if you have less than one coin, if you have 1 to 3, 1 to 5, 10 to 5, whatever, up to 100, 500, like the whales or the home whales, right? Like when you have more than, I don't know, a couple thousands Bitcoin. So, Trump, man, he's a walking brand. Like you can hate him, you can love him, but for sure you cannot ignore him, right? Like the guy, even when he speaks, like I already knew who you were talking when you were kind of talking like him, right? So I think that something happened as well this way, right? Which is like he's going to through his trial, and he was found guilty. Don't care about that, some other YouTubers will cover that, but I think that is just, for me, it's an interesting that he's more pro Bitcoin. When I remember in the past he was against it. So good for him. Some of the blindfold was removed, and now he's a proponent, I guess.
Well, I think he's likely started getting some donations.
I might have to send him, like it's like, give me your address today.
That's too funny. Well, yeah.
The other
he's got bigger problems going on right now, but
I guess, it will be interesting to see. Not sure what number of our president will be, but that he actually will be elected and he will be in jail. That will be a first one.
Yeah, I don't know how
I pardon myself.
It's a fraud.
Yeah.
I'm not in jail right now. I made these bars myself.
Yeah, they are fake bars. Oh man, too much fun.
Yeah.
The next one is empty gox. We have discussed in the pod uh, what is going on there. We were OGs on there. Um, Hopefully, very soon we might be able to start getting some of those going back. It's a lot of Bitcoin there, man. 9 billions in a single address, and they start
Yeah.
moving it at in couple different. I think that 3 address was the last time that I saw it. There is a bot. Somebody built a bot to check when there is a movement, and right away in the Reddit, everybody's like they move some coins, so they are thinking that they're gonna start distributing it very soon.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, I know a lot of people have been waiting for so long. And think about it, these are some forced hodl people. So, when it got locked up there, the price of Bitcoin is probably in the hundreds, right?
Yes, and I remember those prices because I was trying. You helped me out to get some
Yeah.
bitcoins, and other friends helped me out to get some because people don't realize that even if it was cheap in that time, it was very hard to get them because we were mining them, right? So in that time, it was a lot of fluctuation. So sometimes some of my coins were $100, and some of them they were 1,000. Yes, that was kind of the fluctuation in that time, and um, I was able to maybe get some in Coinbase. Coinbase was just barely, but there were other companies. You have MTGOX, you have Bitstamp, you have BTCE, all of them dead, except Coinbase.
Yeah. Yeah. Coinbase fortunately learned from the mistakes of the earlier exchanges, and it seems like they're the ones that are holding out. So they've done a good job there.
Yeah,
Give them
and I
props.
think that I'm curious to see if these hodlers they will sell. They might though, but I think that what I don't recommend them. Again, we're not financial advisors, but we think that it's like if you will have a piece of real estate, and this has been said by many people, including Michael Saylor, if you will have a piece of real estate in Manhattan, why would you sell? Right? There are many other ways to basically continue to have it because guess what? Manhattan is always going to be Manhattan unless the ocean rises and then it's like a all floated. That's the only thing that I can see that you will not maybe want a piece there when it's already floated. But besides that, from the 1800s, when it was the best time to buy in New York, right? Like
From the
always,
start.
like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like just keeping a place there, right? So I think that with Bitcoin is the same. Right now, it might be pricey for you. Like, oh
Oh,
shit,
yeah.
now it's 70K. But guess what? Maybe if that thing goes up to a 1 million, you're gonna be like kidding yourself. Oh shit, I had like actually money to be able to get 1 Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
So
so all those empty Gox hodlers out there, it'll pay off to hodl just a little bit more. I mean, especially since right now we're just kicking off a new bull cycle, so that's good timing. Good timing for them. So hopefully they have a chance to get their coin, hodl a bit longer. If they do want to sell some on the way up, it's a good thing. I don't know how the taxes are going to work for that, but that'll be
until you
pretty
sell,
interesting.
when you get
Yeah.
it, unless if you get the Bitcoin for you, just have it in the moment of the sale. Again, we are not
Yeah.
accountants. Check
Yeah,
your
no, I'm just
accountant.
thinking, yeah, because of the bankruptcy, right? Like, how is that necessarily handled? Because you're not getting 100% of what you had in there. You're going to get 20% or 25% or a portion of it, right? So I don't know
Well,
if the
maybe
rest of it is just a
right.
loss
Yeah,
or
that's a good point. That loss, you might be able to harvest some of that loss because now it's official. It's like, hey, if you have 100 coins and you get only 15 or 20 coins, whatever, then maybe you can claim, hey, you lost this. But that's an interesting question. I don't know the answer.
yeah. I got to figure some of that out too with because Celsius, the other exchange, I got to figure that out too. So we'll see how that works out. But you know what our buddy said this week, Sailor
What did he say now?
Miguel Marinero way.
Miguel Marinero.
He came up with this kind of really interesting thought. He says that the ETFs are now totaling 1 million BTC, or what he coined as being called one Nakamoto.
Man,
like Satoshi Nakamoto. I was like, that's brilliant, man.
dude, that guy, Michael, you get us.
He groks us.
He
Is that how you
groks
use that
us.
word?
He taps into our souls and he like tickles them.
He's tickling you, man.
Oh man, that's like I'm even getting chilled. Right? Yes,
You too?
I think.
Oh man.
You know, I think that he's into something. We discussed in one of the pods that rich people, they have the concept of a yard, the yardstick.
Mhm.
So I think that now it's gonna become like, hey, you have one Nakamoto.
Yeah. You got a Nakamoto. Okay, and so for those of y'all that aren't into the inside joke here, the Nakamoto, it just represents 1 million Bitcoin, which that's what people basically attribute Satoshi Nakamoto's address to having 1 million Bitcoin. So that's why they called it a Nakamoto's worth, is because it's one Nakamoto or 1 million Bitcoin. So that's how he came up with the term or the concept. So it's pretty cool. Hey, a Nakamoto, that's not bad. That's probably what he's aiming for, huh?
I mean, I don't think that he might be able now to get to that point.
It'd be way too hard.
It's 1 million bitcoins. No, because sometimes you are hearing 1 million, the price of only one bitcoin. No.
Yeah.
Here is literally. I think that maybe Nakamoto might become the wealthiest man or person or group, right, or woman, right? Who knows?
Mhm.
To be, because I think that address has 1 million bitcoins. They haven't moved them. I really think that the guy is dead. My thinking is that it was Finney, right? So and he's dead. So so basically, yes.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe that's why the reason why it's 21 million, I don't know. Just because you subtract the 1 million, then you get 20 million available Bitcoin. And that's kind of an easy math number. Who knows?
hard to tell, right? But I
Yeah.
think that great idea. That's another one, right? When that another person that got ridiculized, right? It's like in the beginning. Look, so there's don't disregard Terryology.
Terryology. Nakamotoology.
So
I prefer Bitcoin. It sounds better.
I think that maybe the other topic here is they are, now that Michael Saylor created a path for treasuries on companies. Now the little companies are, and little is just in the stock market, right, compared to other giants. They're trying to grab a portion of their treasury to put it into Bitcoin, which it makes perfect sense, because if um, if you have this amount of cash and the dollar is basically diminishing, right, fiat, and you are losing 10-20% a year, why would you just want it to be there? And maybe you don't want to buy real estate or any other asset that it would be hard to even liquidate. Then maybe it makes sense to start buying Bitcoin, which you can transfer among countries and all of that, right, without a lot of friction. So we might start seeing more companies and countries, right? Like we saw it with El Salvador, but let's say
Mhm.
Venezuela, Colombia, like even in Mexico, right? Start backing up their currencies and their treasuries on as a companies. That's what maybe it might make the influx for actually Bitcoin getting from 100K to a million, right? Another 10x. So we'll see. We'll see in the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think they say slowly then suddenly, because again, game theory I practice, you don't want to be last there, so people will slowly start going there. And like we mentioned in our last video, the pension funds are starting to get in on it. Wisconsin kind of broke the seal there, so I think we're likely going to see a lot more of those huge, and these are huge pension funds, right? Where they have a ton of assets under management. Again, Wisconsin is like the number 8, I think, one in the U.S., and so there's that's a significant one. There's going to be a lot more to follow, and then all the businesses are going to follow Saylor's lead, because Saylor has 0.2 Nakamoto or 200K, a little bit over 200,000 bitcoins, he's already doubled his money. He's made 35 billion so far, and counting and growing, right?
Yeah.
So it's shown to be a valid playbook for a lot of companies, and people are saying, okay, it can work. Let's see if we can do it too.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I'm thinking sometimes, right, what happened on the whole ecosystem. I think that if we get to a price where it's 1 million a Bitcoin, I really think that sometimes government might want to still control the outflow on money. So what I think that is like that's the reason why I continue to keep saying yes, Coinbase is a company to trust, but the problem is if you leave your coins there, maybe in some point, I don't know when, but they might actually kind of limit your withdrawals. And maybe this will be based on a rule by the government to say, hey, no, no, no. Let's say that you have 10 bitcoins and equivalent to 10 millions. It's like, imagine if somebody's like, hey, yeah, I want to cash out like now. Right? So it's like, you might have to have limits, maybe only 30K, 50K a day. Right? So it's like it will take you even just, I don't know, several months to even just withdraw your money. So, but here is the issue that I see: the alternatives are very, very hard still. Like if you want to self custody with devices like Ledger, Trezor, like they are hardware wallets, or you want to print the things like you can print it on paper, right, and put it on a safe deposit box. It's very hard. So I think that maybe we're gonna start seeing that, and maybe we can cover it on the podcast how we will be able to recommend some other people to kind of do it.
Yeah, I know there's some services out there, but you're opening yourself up to third party risk there. But for those of you that aren't too comfortable holding $10 million on like a piece of paper on a napkin written out, it might make sense. I don't know. A lot of people try to memorize it too. You can just memorize your old seed phrase, but you get bumped in the head. It's gone, right? It's like, so yeah, it is a real problem that's kind of coming out. How do you really safeguard it in a way that you're not going to lose it all if you don't have it on an exchange?
And if you're paranoid, like I have a couple of friends, I'm not gonna name them. Uh, he has a portion of the seed memorized. His wife has a portion, and then he has a banker. So in that way, if they get kidnapped, that's what he says. It's like they cannot get it. Like, bro, you can torture me, but I don't have it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you gotta. I mean, yeah, there's got to be something, a way, I don't know, to kind of safeguard it. So that's kind of a next big thing. If you're able to solve that problem, there might be something there for you. That's probably a pretty good business to be
And
in.
they're already the big banks. They already have loans like for securities. If you already have a bunch of securities and you want to do like a securities type of a loan, they even having a very low interest rate, sometimes 35%. I hope that very soon they do that. Smaller banks they do it, but I hope that maybe BlackRock, Fidelity, right, like Charles Schwab, they say, okay, you have those 10 millions. I'll lend you a couple millions if you want your house or you want a Lambo or whatever it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that way you have that as well. So, but yeah, that's what's going on. The other item that is going on, it is topic is going on this week is the ETF for Ethereum. The SEC basically told the community that they have to file what was the form?
The
S1, right?
S1 forms, yeah.
Mhm.
And if y'all remember, like, so again, the spot Bitcoin ETFs came out in January, and I believe the S1 forms where they asked them to update it, like maybe in December. So a lot of people are assuming that means we're like a month away or less than a month away from an Ethereum spot Bitcoin or an Ethereum spot ETF to be released. So it's around the corner. So a lot of people are getting pretty hyped about it. We're that's what we're thinking. They SEC asked folks, "Hey, y'all update y'all's applications. Something is coming." So uh, right around the corner. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that we have a good one. Anything else that you want to say?
Study up on Terryology. You don't want to get left behind, just like you don't want to get left behind in Bitcoin. Hey, if you liked our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We really love to hear from you. If you haven't watched our viral Bitcoin all-time high meme remixes, check them out. We're over 10,000 views on them and almost 3,000 on the others. So come see it. That's all we got for today. Dale.
Bye.
Bye.